somehow your name got brought up. And he said, when Professor Griff went nuts in Montreal, Switzerland, talking about Caucasoid mountains and monkeys, he said, every Jewish executive told me to drop Public Enemy and not work with them. And he said, you know what I did? He said, I brought Chuck D to the Holocaust Museum. So I guess he was saying this to say that, you know, he works with people instead of just listening to, you know, the Jewish executives and dropping Public Enemy. I guess he wanted to school Chuck D on, you know, exactly what happened with the Holocaust. So I want to get your side of the story, Griff. Exactly what went down, what happened, and just your thoughts on him bringing you up in this interview, Professor Griff.
Well, Brother Rich, to make things very clear and very plain, I think people, if they watch the interview and they do just a little bit of research, you will see that LYOR Cohen is a very masterful liar. And he's a rapist like Dame Dash called him. He rapes the culture. You understand what I'm saying? And you could see, even in what you just said, you could see the same old venomous tactic that he always uses. Because he did the same thing with me and Chuck that he did with Dame and Jay.
Right.
He went and put his arm around Jay, and then Jay ended up leaving Dame Dash. Some statements were made that Chuck D, Flavor, I don't know about Flavor, Terminator, not, I can exclude him, but everyone else in the group knew I was telling the truth, and to this day, what I said still stands as the truth, and you and anybody else can go research it. All I did was give the history of the Caucasian race as taught to us by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And anybody can go look that up. Khalid Muhammad laid it out. Malcolm X laid it out. Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan laid it out. Hell, you got some preachers that lay it out. The goddamn Discovery Channel, History Channel. All of them back up what Professor Griff said back in Switzerland at that particular time. So if he saves people and he saves situations, how come he didn't call me to the Holocaust Museum? No, that's a question that Dame Dash asked us to ask, right or wrong.
Right.
So how come you didn't call us? Why is it that you called Chuck? Chuck wasn't the one that made the statement. Although Chuck had the same kind of sentiment, the same kind of feelings, the same kind of thoughts that he put in some of the records. When you start talking about so-called chosen, frozen, apologies made to whoever's pleasing, still they got me like Jesus. Same thing, different person though, because they had an agenda. They had an agenda to neutralize the most powerful, politically conscious, socially conscious hip-hop group ever in the history of black music, ever in the history of music.
Indeed.
They had an agenda, plain and simple. And that's just, and then it came to fruition though. So when he gets on the Breakfast Club, now mind you, why would there be a need to talk about a Professor Griff in 2018? If I'm this old washed up rapper, if I'm this old stage prop like Russell Simmons said I was, after Russell Simmons talked about me like a dog, if I was this dude, why would there be a need to bring my name up? And by what I said it way in Switzerland in the 80s, it must be still on your mind, Mr. LYOR Cohen. Why is it still on your mind? Because he know, and the rest of the people like Chuck D and the rest of them know, or Hank Shockleys and the Bill Stephanies and Harry Allens and the rest of these people, all of them knew I was telling the truth. Plain and simple. And the thing about that, Brother Rich, is the fact that it was very timely because the history of Public Enemy, if it's told right, we was only supposed to be in the music industry for 2 years. So if you look at the time we came into 86, 87, 88, 89, we making our exit out, right? Professor Griff was right on time. I was laying out the history. I was laying out the history of the Caucasian people and their business practices. All right. And then I laid out the history of the Jewish involvement in the music industry, and I laid out the Jewish involvement, period, according to what was taught to us by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad in the secret relationship between blacks and Jews. Chuck knew it. Everybody in the group knew it. Slave knew it. I knew it. People around us knew it. This was common knowledge. This is the kind of stuff that we talk about on an everyday basis on the tour bus. So, but guess who was the road manager and guess who was the spokesman for Public Enemy at that time? Professor Griff. Because I was the Minister of Information.
Mm-hmm.
So if this is common knowledge, and this is what we talk about all the time, and we're supposed to be making an exit, I'm like, okay, no problem. Let's talk about it. So that's when I sat down in that infamous interview with David Mills, who I think they sent him. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's when I sat down and laid out all of this information. Because at that time, I used to carry a suitcase full, Brother Rich. A suitcase, man. I had a suitcase full of books. Because I was the Minister of Information. I was an avid reader. Mm-hmm. I laid out a whole table full of books as proof. And all my quotes were coming from Jewish people. But yet, they put their arm around Chuck, whisper in his ear, and Griff ended up getting thrown out of the group. How did that happen? Dame Dash is right. Why don't you get the story from the flip side of the coin? Why don't you ask some other people? Ask the LYOR Cohens, because I met with LYOR. I used to battle LYOR on philosophy, on history. Me and LYOR used to go at it for hours.
Yeah? Wow.
For hours. You could ask him. You could ask Chuck or anybody. Me and LYOR used to go at it for hours. Not in an angry, hostile kind of way. We had respect for one another, but we used to debate about history. Mm-hmm. But I didn't know he was going to wield that kind of power after one of the conversations. After we had many conversations, but after that one, I guess he got his feelings hurt. And I guess shortly after that, I was out of the group. So he said, I was wilding. He said, I went crazy.
You went nuts. He said,
I went nuts. I went nuts because I told him history about him and his people. About the Ashkenazis. And when I laid it on him, he couldn't handle it. And I'm like, all right, which is common knowledge today. Everybody talking about it. You understand what I'm saying? People making books about it. Read what's the name's book, Philip Muhammad's book that he put together. You see Philip Muhammad's book? Willie Lynch's Newest Slave, which is the Hip Hop Nation.
Okay, I didn't see it yet. No.
And did you read what's the name's book? Ashad Muhammad's book, The Synagogue of Satan.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. People writing about this stuff like it's common knowledge, man. I was seeing anybody getting thrown out of groups and house burnt down and shot at and and all that other kind of stuff like I suffered. The things they put on me. You understand what I'm saying? But I told the truth back in the 80s. So it's free to talk about now in the 2000s. It's all right for anybody to talk about. You can talk about it, say what you want to say.
Do you think it was a case of Chuck or anybody else around you felt as though what you did was a classic case of when keeping it real goes wrong, and it was just what you said might have been true, but the timing of it, the place wasn't the proper time or place or way to go about doing it.
So when would be the proper time or place, Brother Rich? If I'm having conversations with the tall Israeli dude that's running this rap shit, as Mos Def said. Because it's a tall Israeli running this rap shit. That's what Mos Def said. I'm having conversations with this tall Israeli dude, right? About history. Mm-hmm. So we were supposed to be exiting out of the music industry, right? 2-year plan. We were supposed to be exiting out. Came in late 86, came in 87, did our thing, exiting 89. So when was the right time to talk about it, Brother Rich? So when do you talk about it? When you get out of the industry? When do you talk about it? When do you talk about the Chuck Berrys and how they took and credited someone else for rock and roll? When do you talk about the Little Richards? When do you talk about the same thing James Brown talked about and Michael Jackson talked about? When do you talk about these things? When do you talk about the same thing Shaka Khan and other people talked about this music industry? When do you talk about the same thing that Whitney Houston talked about this music industry? Mm-hmm. So I must be keeping good company then, man. You understand what I'm saying? So if all of these people are talking about the same thing in the music industry, and Dame Dash is absolutely correct, man. He's absolutely correct. Why don't we interview these other people? Like, when I talk about Vivendi, this French company, I always talk about Vivendi, but No one want to go do the research and figure out what did Dave Vivendi have to do with Chris and Irv Gotti, right? And their label, which LYOR had something to do with it. Rockefeller Records. How come no one would question LYOR about how Rockefeller Records end up out of Dame Dash in the other man's hands, right into their hands in order to give it back to Jay. But Dame Dash and his partner out of the deal. How come no one even asked these questions, man? But you see, I was doing interviews when I laid out this Illuminati thing, and I started putting the information out there, all right? But no one would really check for it because they started checking for this Illuminati stuff. And they glossed over the information that I was laying out. But I laid it out in every lecture, Brother Rich. Mm-hmm. I laid it out about who created and started these damn 360 deals. Same people, Brother Rich. Check the Todd Moskowitz and the LYOR Cohens and the Julie Ringwalds and the rest of these people. I laid all of this out, man, before. I laid out this 360 deals and all this kind of stuff, man. Years ago, Brother Rich. But Professor Griff is crazy. He's nuts, though. He's nuts. So what's so nuts about Professor Griff telling the truth? The history of the Caucasian race has been out there because Malcolm put it out there. Farrakhan put it out there. Elijah Muhammad put it out there. There's a few people that put it out there. And now they comfortably talk about it on the History Channel and the Discovery Channel. Why Professor Griff got to be nuts? Because I come along and tell the truth. The truth was already written in books that I studied. Dr. Ben already laid this out. Dr. John Lewis Clark already laid this out. It says, I wasn't saying anything new. They just didn't want to go do the research because it's easier to put your arm around Chuck and whisper in his ear to get me thrown out of a group. So the question now becomes, well, Chuck, why you throw Professor Griff out of Public Enemy? And for what? Because he said, what? We never had a history with cohabitating with white people. We lived in Roosevelt, Long Island. The last white family to move out of Roosevelt was Howard Stern's family. So we ain't never had no real cohabitation with white people. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden now, we form a rap group. I got knowledge itself. This is common knowledge, the thing that we always talk about in the hood. On the tour bus, when we get together, or whatever, how white people control this and white people control it, because that's the conversation that's going on today. Am I right or wrong?
It definitely is, yeah.
So now all of a sudden I tell the truth way over in Switzerland, and all of a sudden I get back to America, and shortly after that I'm kicked out of the group. Come on, man. There was something bigger operating behind the scenes, Brother Rich. There was something bigger operating behind the scenes to get rid of Professor Griff, man.
We often hear about, LYOR has the rap of being the bad guy in the hip hop game, but a lot of people look at Rick Rubin as being one of the good guys in hip hop during that time. What are your thoughts on Rick Rubin, and do you feel as though is he any different from LYOR Cohen?
Yeah, I think Rick Rubin is much more talented individual. I think Rick Rubin is a lot different than the LYOR Cohens of the world. Yeah, of course. Rick Rubin is a talented individual who has insight. LYOR wasn't even around when Public Enemy got signed. At least I didn't meet him then. I met him after. It was Rick Rubin that insisted that Def Jam signed Public Enemy. And as I often state, and Chuck and the rest of them will tell you the same thing. Russell Simmons did not dig Public Enemy. He wasn't checking for Public Enemy like that. I think he trashed our first demo tape. Trashed it. You understand what I'm saying? So Russell didn't have no insight and no vision in politically conscious, socially conscious situations, especially when it came to Public Enemy. He didn't have no insight on that. He wasn't the one that wanted to push the Public Enemy envelope. They looked at it as like a fad and it was going to die off soon, and it's cute that these dudes are coming on stage with guns, but when they started seeing us affecting the landscape of the black community, and we started affecting people's minds and teaching people and educating people, and people started to listen, oh man, you know, that call came from on high, man. They had to say, okay, no, we got to stop that. And they spewing Nation of Islam rhetoric. And the short guy with the red beret, Professor Griff, oh, he's in the Nation of Islam in the ranks, coming out of Mosque number 7, Temple number 7 in New York. It's like, wow, no, we got to stop that. So if you really take a step back, Brother Rich, and you look at it, and it's almost like, okay, yeah, we gotta stop this, because we cannot let this go on. And then on top of that, this guy is doing interviews and people are listening now, because this is the first time ever in the history of music that this went down like this, Brother Rich.
Mm-hmm.
You mean to tell me me and Chuck was doing interviews, man, and we was running these people away from us, man, because we would challenge them in the interview. Because, you know, the average interview in as far as a musician is concerned, or a rapper, first of all, it's not long. Second of all, you're talking about cute little stuff. What's your sign? How many do you meet chicks on the road? And blah, 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 blah. Your record is selling and blah, blah. Then after that, they have nothing else to talk about. But at this particular time, when they interviewed Public Enemy, oh, it was on and popping, man. Because me and Chuck used to hold them hostage. You understand what I'm saying? It's for real, man.
Right.
I mean, we used to do interviews, Brother Rich. So much so, talking about thousands of interviews, man.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? And when you're coming from the basis of educating the interviewer about culture bandits, Del Jones, when you drop stuff about Dr. Francis Cress Welsing on them, and it's like we sent the interviewer study. They went back and studied. They had the damn study before they even finished writing the article, man. So in most cases, they didn't even know how to handle us, man. So the whole idea of me getting thrown out of the group, that shit took me for a loop, because I'm like, I was baffled, man, because this is the same stuff that we always talked about. I think it was a day or so before I did the interview with David Mills. I just got the secret relationship between blacks and Jews. I got the manuscript. And it was Brother James in the group, one of the S1Ws, that had a connection with the brothers in the mosque in Boston. And he gave me the manuscript. I asked him, can I get a copy? He was like, yeah. He said, I got something for you. He said, check this out. So when we was on tour, I went to a Kinko's just to get one copy made. The young man behind the counter, he said, aren't you Professor Griff, man? Y'all, Public Enemy, y'all in town, right? I'm like, yeah, man, whatever. He said, yo, give me how many you need? This dude printed up a box of them for me. I gave him a couple of tickets. He printed up a box of them.
Wow.
So I gave them to everybody on the bus. All of us read it. All of us used to have deep discussions on the bus about the music industry, who controls the music industry, and this kind of thing. Everyone from the people at the pressing plant to the managers to the promoters. And we was breaking it down, man. That was a normal conversation on the bus. Why is it that I go do the interview and all of a sudden I'm the demon? I'm the villain. I was shocked, Brother Rich. I really was, man.
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
No, go on.
Oh no, I was just gonna ask one last question. You can finish up that thought, and then I'll come with the question.
I'm saying to you, the same tactic that they pulled to divide Dame Dash and Jay-Z is the same tactic that they use with me and Chuck. You understand what I'm saying?
Let me ask this real quick, Griff, because I was going to ask another question, but since you said that, Charlemagne brought that up to LYOR COHEN, and he said, Dame Dash accused you of breaking up Rockefeller Records and ending him and Jay-Z's friendship. LYOR gave an example, and he said, he asked Charlemagne and DJ Envy, he said, I forgot the exact example, but basically he was saying, if you let money come in between your friendship, then it wasn't a friendship to begin with. So if LYOR COHEN is that powerful to break up Dame Dash and Jay And he's saying that wasn't that strong to begin with. And I guess we could apply that to Griff and Chuck. If LYOR is that powerful to break a Public Enemy, then Public Enemy wasn't, I guess, that strong to begin with. And it really wasn't LYOR Cohen fault after all that. I guess that's the philosophy that he's rolling with. So what would your response be to that type of philosophy?
Well, you know something, at that time, and I do have to defend Chuck when it comes to that particular question, because at that time we was never even interested in making hundreds of millions of dollars. That wasn't on our mind. We was going after our people with the backing of the Nation of Islam, with the backing of all of those young whites that looked at and looked up to Public Enemy, with the backing of all of the black people that began to follow Public Enemy at that particular time. It was just that Chuck's inner circle that was the one that got to Chuck. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So even if Chuck did fall for the devil's trick and he ended up getting rid of me for whatever reason, I truly don't even know to this day, because he told me I was suspended. And that's when I went on MTV and other stations like, how the fuck do you get suspended from a rap group? And at that time, that's what I was saying, niggas get shot for shit like that, man. You understand what I'm saying? Selling out, betraying people. This is why Dame Dash to this day has a grudge against LYOR Cohen. And LYOR is an outright liar, because from a short period of time that I talked to you earlier, right, Brother Rich, for a few minutes, from that short period of time, I done dug up 12 pictures already of LYOR and Dame Dash. LYOR said on the Breakfast Club that he don't even know Dame Dash.
Right.
Charlamagne the God said, wait a minute, y'all made a lot of money together. How you gonna say you don't know him? That's an outright lie. That's why they call him LYOR Cohen. He's an outright liar. Now listen, Brother Rich, let's do some basic mathematics, right? Mm-hmm. Charlamagne, if you really listen to him in the beginning of the interview, called him the global king of YouTube music. I'm going to say that again. Go back and listen. Go back and listen to the interview. Right when the interview comes on, he calls him the global king of YouTube. Why do you think all these YouTube cats, all these young cats pushing these opiates and pushing this drug culture, this traumatized drug culture music, why do you think all of them got put on? Because LYOR put them on. Because LYOR did the deal with Google, and Google owns YouTube. Mm-hmm. That's why they're able to neutralize a Professor Griff in 2018. That's how come they can neutralize a Brother Rich by shutting your channel down. That's how they can neutralize it. This is why we having so many issues with these young rappers today, because they're all up under the thumb of these cats, either at Atlantic Records, Def Jam Records, or one of these other records that he done put people at. He done put Todd Moskowitz there with 300 Entertainment, Kevin Liles, Julie Ringwald, and all these other people that he has influence over, that Barry Wise control. This is why these are the same people that sat down in the back smoke-filled back room and came up with this 360 deal that affect artists that I warned people about. Did I not, Brother Rich?
Yes, you did, yes.
This is why they don't want a Professor Griff on the scene. This is why they had to separate me from Public Enemy, because they knew they was taking out from under me my financial base and my support to isolate me and deal with me as an individual. So that when I turn around years later and try to warn artists about this 360 deal, no one would listen, because they say he's nuts. I don't sound like I'm nuts. I'm clear, a conscious, clear individual. I warned people about the 360 deals. Now, I didn't go so far as to do the Steve Copley thing and name the names like Dame Dash did. But since the cat is out the bag and he went and did the interview and mentioned my name, I wasn't thinking about no LYOR Cohen. I truly wasn't, man. His name don't come up in my conversation. Why would I be on your brain for you to go up there at the Breakfast Club and mention my name? I must be still on your mind. For what? Because I told the truth about what goes down in the music industry, and that's what they didn't want to happen. This is why, Brother Rich, you and I have to be sensible enough to tie this back to that secret meeting that went down in LA that changed the history of the music industry. Am I wrong? Come on now.
Indeed.
Who was at that meeting? The Cohens, the Moskowitz, the Ringwalds, the Wise. They were the ones at the meeting. The ones that have artists today that they sign, knowing that they're pushing the drug culture on our people. Same ones, man. Same ones.
One last question for you, Professor Griff. A short show tonight, but I definitely wanted to get your response based on, your name being brought up on the Breakfast Club. Professor Griff, this happened in what, 1988?
It was kind of 88, yes, 88, 89, yeah.
Okay. 2018, what's that, 30 years later? Yeah, about 30 years later, yeah. Looking back at it, in the year 2018, would you have done it different or would you have done it the same exact way, Professor Griff?
If the situation was the same?
Yes.
No, I would have done it the same way I did it. Because I spoke truth to power. I would have done it the same exact way.
Even if you knew you would have been kicked out of the group.
I would have done it the same way, yeah. Simply because who do I have allegiance to? The music industry or to my God? To Allah? Who do I have allegiance to? Do I have allegiance to those people that's raping black people and using and raping black culture? Or do I have allegiance to my people and my culture? Do I have allegiance to the bloodsuckers of the poor? Or do I have allegiance to the poor righteous teachers of the planet Earth who do not teach, who do not use and abuse and misuse the teachings or the people, that suck the people dry, that teach the people lies to believe in a spook God? I don't do that, man. If I had a chance to do it all over again, I would do it the exact same way, simply because I was told by Chuck D that this thing is only going to last for 2 years, simply because he was the one that signed the deal with Def Jam, not me. Flavor Flav signed the deal with Def Jam, not me. Not me and Terminator. You understand what I'm saying? Our deal was with Public Enemy Live. I was a road manager, the leader of the security of the First World of Security. I was the road manager, the choreographer, and I wrote some of the songs. And I fed Chuck some of the information. Those were my roles. And I was the best person at doing those 4 or 5 roles that I played in Public Enemy. And if Chuck told me this is only going to be 2 years, we in and we out, I got the game plan. Let's go. Let's make it happen. That's why we did things as though it was a sense of urgency. Like it was a sense of urgency. This is why you heard the siren in the beginning of our show, because it was a sense of urgency. This is how come we came on stage with military uniforms and weapons, because it was a sense of urgency. We was going to get in the music industry and we was going to get out of the music industry. Now, I didn't know that the brothers were going to stay. I was reaping havoc in those interviews, man. Go back and check out some of them Public Enemy interviews. I was reaping havoc in them interviews, man. But I didn't know Chuck had changed his mind. And I tell Chuck to this day, if you had changed your mind, bro, how come you ain't pull me in and say, yo, the game plan has changed. This is what we're going to do now. And I would have been like, cool, bet. And I would have been flexible. But he never told me that. He never told me he changed his mind. He never told me he changed his mind in 2018 he wanted to be a rock star. He never said that. Now, if he had told me then in 1989, of course we flexible, man. We roll with the punches. We do what we have to do to survive. Am I right or wrong? If he had said, yo, seriously, man, I'm trying to get rich in this shit. For real. I'm trying to get this loot. What you gonna do, Griff? And if he'd have put it to me, I'm like, come on, man. I got hustle about me. You understand what I'm saying? If you trying to hustle this music and you trying to get paid, then okay, we can still get paid and entertain the people and educate the people at the same time. But you never told me that, Chuck. You left me out there to dry. You left me out there for these people to crucify me. You left me out there just by myself. And it's like, damn, bro, for real? And then you gonna turn around and kick me out of the group? Like, and I'm like, for what? Like, okay, what did I do that was so different than what any of us were doing in the group at that particular time? The same understanding and the same belief and the same information that I talked about in those interviews, Chuck D felt the same way. Why he backed from it at that time, I don't know. I guess to save his own ass. I don't know, man. You got to ask Chuck D that question. And I'm going to tell you like Dame Dash was telling us. Go interview them other people on the flip side of the coin. Interview the Chuck D's of the world. And ask him why'd you kick Professor Griff out of the group for telling the truth? Did Professor Griff tell the truth? And if he say anything other than, yeah, Professor Griff told me the truth, I'll say go back and read The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews, Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3. Go back and read how white folks got so rich. Go back and read The Synagogue of Satan. Go back and read Willie Lynch's Newest Slave by Philip A. Muhammad. You understand what I'm saying? Go back and read the American Directory of Certified Uncle Toms. All of these books spoke truth to what I was saying. Plain and simple, man.
Indeed. Leave your contact info, Professor Griff, for those who want to contact you.
If people want to contact me about this or anything else in reference to interviews or whatever else I did from way back in the 80s to present, they can call me at 678-557-2919. That's 678-557-2919. Or they can go on my YouTube channel because it's best that I put this kind of stuff on my YouTube channel since they shutting people's channels down. I don't know if you heard about that, Brother Rich, but they're actually going after people now for a certain kind of content. But anyway, my YouTube channel is Serious Minds, SIRIUSMINDZ. My website is www.professorgriff.me, and you can email me at seriousmindsinfo@gmail.com. Once again, my phone number is 678-557-2919. It's always a pleasure, Brother Rich, and I really appreciate you, man.
Indeed. Once again, family, this is Brother Rich, Professor Griff, signing out. Thanks for tuning in, and we're going to see you guys next time. Peace.
Peace.
Greetings, this is Professor Griff of Public Enemy. Welcome to the Oculus Inc. The Oculus, they are the ultra secret society. They are the ones that manipulate and control your perception. They're actually the gatekeepers of your perception. The Oculus are the ones that actually write the prescription. They are the ones to determine who and why you're seeing what you're actually seeing through signs and symbols. These signs and symbols, we see them every single day. Your banks, your fast food stores, energy companies, gas stations, car companies, sports teams, all of them have signs and symbols that they use in such a way where they speak a language to one another. These are the things that the Oculus controls. The Oculus Inc.